Many of you may already know this, but a very long time ago, my siblings and I went to school here. On this property, for me, it was 5th, 6th, and 7th and 8th grades. Starting in 6th grade, we had a new teacher. Her name was Miss Ferguson. I didn't really like her much at first. She didn't put up with any nonsense from this sassy self. That winter, we found out that she was pretty amazing. She liked to have fun. We played ping pong and chess and put together big puzzles when it was too cold to go outside. We didn't have a gym then. We played games like Duck, Duck, Goose and Dodgeball out in the big field. And we went across the road and cleared the pond and played hockey. She read books out loud to us that we hadn't heard before, and sometimes, if we asked, she would read an extra 15 minutes, maybe even 30 minutes. We treated her with respect, and she treated us like we were important and that we mattered. She taught us to read music by writing on the blackboard and then having us copy the music notes into our music books. As we learned, she taught us to play recorders. By the 3rd year, she was having some of us play tenor recorder and alto recorder along with the sopranos. She would put on Friday night Vesper service, programs for the church with pictures from nature on the overhead projector with readings and stories and music. She included us school kids many times in these programs. She taught us to look people in the eyes, speak slowly and clearly, and loud enough for the people in the back to hear. She taught us we should be proud that we could contribute and help out. In our church, in our school, in our community, in our families. And to not be afraid of pausing. Miss Ferguson taught us for 3 years in that classroom over in the old church building. It was new then. We learned lessons that have benefited us our whole lives. This is a tribute to Miss Ferguson and the lessons we learned and the friends we became. I believe this may have been original. Well, let's.
I first became acquainted with the story of Ladle Rat Rotten Hut when I was taking a linguistics class in college. The point of the story is to show that language is more than just words. Another component, intonation, moves the rhythm and melody of language, and that gives us so many clues that help us to understand what we read or hear. The story, Ladle Rat Rotten Hut, is actually just another version of a story that you all know very well, the story of Little Red Riding Hood. But the words used in this version simply make no sense whatsoever. They are all common English words, but have no meaning when they are put together in the way that the story shows. And yet, if I read this correctly, and if you listen very carefully, you will, I hope, hear the very familiar story of Little Red Riding Hood. Ladle Rat Rotten Hut. Once pond term, der worsted ladle go, ho lived wetter murder in her ladle cordage on her itch off a large dark florist. Disk ladle go, orphan worry ladle cluck, wetter putty ladle rat hut, and for disk raisin, pimple colder ladle rat rotten hut. One moaning, Rat Rotten Hut's murder colder in set. Ladle Rat Rotten Hut, heresy ladle basking, winsome burden barter and shirker cockles. Tick disc ladle basking, tutor cordage off her groin murder, ho lifts on her other side off her florist. Shaker Lake, done stop her laundry rote, and yonder nor sorghum stenches, done stopper torque wet strainers. Ho cake murder, resplendent ladle rat rotten hut, and tickle ladle basking and stuttered oft. On her rote to her cordage up her groin murder, ladle rat rotten hut mitten anomalous wolf. Wail, 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 set this wicked wolf. Evanescent ladle rat rotten hut. Where's our putty ladle go goring with their ladle basking? Armor goring tumor groin murders, reprisal ladle rat rotten hut. Grammar's seeking bet. Armor ticking arson burden barter and shirker cockles. Oh ho, heifer blessing woke, said her wicked wolf, but her taught to himself, oil tickle shirt court, to her cordage off her groin murder, oil ketchup wet her letter, and then, oh poor. So the wicked wolf tuck her shirt court, and when he wretched a cordage off her groin murder, picked in her widow, and soared at her poor oil warming, worse lying in her bed. In her flesh, this abdominal wolf lipped on her bed and at a rope. Then he pulled on her groin murder's nut cup and nat gun, and he curdled dope in her bed. In her ladle while, ladle rat rotten hut a raft at her cordage and rank her dough ball. Comink sweatheart, said her wicked wolf, disgracing his verse. Ladle rat rotten hut entered to bedroom and stood by her groin murder's bed. Oh, grammar, crater ladle go, would bag ice or gut, a nervous sausage bag ice. Buttered lucky to whiff, doling, whiskered this ratchet wolf, wetter wicked small. Oh, grammar, water bag mousy got, a nervous sore suture anomalous prognosis. Battered small your whiff, insert a wolf, and's mouse worse waddling. Oh, grammar, water bag mousey got, a nervous sore such a bag mouse. Days worry on fortunate gulls, lest warts. Oil off our sudden, throwing off our carvers, and sprinkling our bed, discurl and bloat Thursday wolf, seized poor ladle rat rotten hut, and garbled erupt. Mural, yonder north sorghum stenches, shut ladle goals, stop or torque wet strainers. Thank you.
O day of peace that dimly shines through all our hopes and prayers and dreams, guide us to justice, truth, and love, delivered from our selfish schemes. May swords of hate fall from our hands, our hearts from envy find release, till by God's grace our warring world shall see Christ's promised reign of peace. Then shall the wolf dwell with the lamb, the fierce shall not devour the small, as beasts and cattle calmly graze, a little child shall lead them all. Then enemies shall learn to love, all creatures find their true accord, the hope of peace shall be fulfilled, for all the earth shall know the Lord. Come to Him with all your heart. Come and lay your burdens down. For peace He came to give, and joy shall be the crown, and joy shall be the crown.
Okay, this is kind of like a TED Talk. I'm not going to do a full lecture, so you won't be bored by it. What is light? Now, in English, we have a word, turn on the light, or I need light. Now, those mean two different things. One means, would you mind turning the light fixture on? Or bring your flashlight over here so I can see. Now, in the Bible, it states that God is light. But the word used there's two different spellings that are used. One is or, and the other is Maor. Now, Maor means the light source, and or means the light itself. Okay? But the word that's used in where they say God is light is the light itself, which is interesting. And this put me on a study of QED, and some of you probably wonder what that is, QED. Simply put, it's quantum electromagnetic dynamics of photon propagation. And what that deals with is the study of light and its characteristics. Now, light has both the characteristics of a particle and a wave, so it's kind of interesting. But yet it has almost zero mass, but yet it has an effect, okay? Now, in Genesis 1, 3, and 4, God said, let there be light, and it was good. So God put light into existence. Now, here's a kind of interesting thing. The scholastic elites in the study of QED don't know what it is. They have some ideas. They've got a lot of studies. And it's kind of interesting that when we look at it, now, the Bible talks about light, and it has a better definition than what we give it. Now, light travels at 186,000 miles per second, which is pretty fast, according to Albert Einstein. And he said it was the universal constant. Now, me personally, I question this, and the reason I question this is because of the studies and work of Professor Lenny Hahn. Now, Lenny Hahn is a professor at Harvard University, and she did this study and this research in 1999 initially, and they were using what is commonly referred to as an Einstein medium, and they slowed light down to 38 miles per hour, which is kind of interesting. Now, a few years later, they stopped light dead cold. How do you do that? It's amazing, you know? But then, a few years after that, they sped it up 300 times the speed of light. So is light really a universal constant? And then that's just with what they're telling us. Now, what the interesting thing is that the reason why they're doing this is they're trying to figure out how photons operate and how they work. Now, we know roughly how electrons work, and we develop technologies to use them. Our cell phones have the little chip in it that can operate billions of tiny transistors. Okay, I'll speed it up. Sorry. Okay, here we go. Okay, now, light is in a constant state of motion, but we can't explain the variation in luminosity in redshift. Because I asked a very esteemed astrophysicist in a lecture at the university up here when they had it several years back. And he's a brilliant man. And I asked him, I said, hey, listen, I understand the concept of calculating distance using parallax trigonometry and AUs and the calculation of distances of planetary bodies within our own solar system. But I can't understand the concept of how you can calculate out billions of light years away to another planet around another star. And I said, with that said, you're using the redshift in order to make the calculations. How do you take into consideration the variations in redshift and luminosity in your calculations? And he told me this in front of an entire crowd. He said, that's an interesting question. I'll get back to you on that. He hasn't. Okay, now, this is where the Bible comes in real quick, and then I'll end. The Bible states in Job 39:19, it says, where is the way that light dwelleth? And as for darkness, where is the place thereof? Now, these two concepts were written in a Bible, in a book, that were originally taught verbally to one another, and then finally codified later, okay? And so I'm thinking about maybe 4,000 years ago, when we're supposed to be hunter-gatherers, and they knew better the physics between photon propagation than we know now, because light is in a way, it's in a constant state of motion. And darkness, dark matter, that we just discovered recently within the past few years, and we're starting to try to figure it out, it's in a place, and it holds, this dark matter is what is holding our galaxies together. It's pretty interesting. Now, in closing, real quick, I'll go ahead and close this off real quick. There's with the advent of photon studies, if we can get a photon to work like an electron in electronics, we could have something the size of your watch, but it's operating at speeds that El Capitan operates, which is approximately 1.7 quintillion processes per second. That's the most powerful supercomputer today. And we can put that in your watch if we can get photons to work like electrons. And the other thing is that in Isaiah 42:5 and 45:12, it said, God stretched the heavens. He stretched the heavens. And this is where I believe we get the redshift. When he created the heavens and the earth, he made that happen. That's the only explanation that I can find that makes any sense. With that, I'd like to close and thank you for listening to my lecture on photon propagation. And have a nice evening.
A few short years after I graduated from 8th grade, over next door, I met Adrian at my friend's sister's wedding. It was New Year's Eve, 1974. We became friends over the next summer. As a group of us ran around together, Adrian was actually dating the pastor's daughter. And on April 2nd, 1977, we got married. We were both firstborns, and bossy, and stubborn, and we had a lot to learn. It's been an eventful almost 49 years. with many sorrows and hard times, as well as joy and contentment and love. I would do it again. I wrote this poem during one of those early rocky times before we were even married, but it still holds true. I wrote this in 1976. There are times in our lives when things fall apart. Like a piece of fabric that's strong at the start, our lives are strong. There's peace in our hearts. But like fabric, like cloth that becomes torn and tattered, our lives become weak. Our peace is shattered. It's only little things like unkind words that are spoken in anger and regretted afterwards, or selfish act, or tiny lies that wear at the seams and make holes in the fabrics of our lives. With a needle and thread, a patch here and there, a kind word spoken, a lot of prayer, just a helping hand fills holes that were bare. And our lives are increased by the patches of love and the stitches of peace.
some things, I think. Wait a minute. I forgot what I was going to do. Oh, yeah. Last week, I had a birthday. It's nothing to clap about. I hit 71, all right? Okay. You know, every year on my birthday, I tell myself I'm going to be 1 year wiser. I'm going to be 1 year stronger. I'm going to be 1 year better. My body 100% disagrees. You know, it seems like other people ripen nicely like fruit, softly, a little bit each day, gracefully. I seem to ripen like a half-cut avocado that's fastly approaching its expiration date. Let's see. In fact, I'm not really aging, I'm marinating. The other day I went to the doctor because I thought I had arthritis, and he says, no, you don't. You have early onset rigor mortis. You know, when I was a kid, we used to play games outside like hide and seek and stuff like that. Now I play games inside. Like, where did I put my teeth? Where did I put my keys? Where did I put anything? I can't find anything in this mess. Oh, I made the mess. Sorry. In fact, you know, nowadays it's an all-day task just finding my shoes. I start in the morning, and maybe by night I found one of them. Let's see. In fact, you know, you're getting older when walking into a room, you can remember why you went in there. That doesn't happen to me very much anymore. I can't remember why I went in there. In fact, I don't fall anymore. I don't trip. I just test gravity once in a while to see if it works still. Yeah. In fact, I have a 30-second rule. If somebody tells me something important, I've got exactly 30 seconds to write it down, because 31 seconds later it disappears. And I don't have any idea where it went. I've looked for it. It's an endless job, like finding my shoes. When I first came to Alaska, I lived with my mom. And when I moved in with her, it seemed like she had a hearing problem. So I called the doctor up and I said, Doctor, I think my mom's got a hearing problem. What should I do? He said, well, there's a simple test you can do. He said, go about 30 feet away, say something to her. If she doesn't respond, go a little closer, and so on and so forth till you get to where she can hear you. Oh, okay, I'll try that out. So that night, she was fixing dinner in the kitchen. I was in the living room. And I said, Mom, what's for supper? No response. So I went about 10 feet more. And Mom, what's for supper? No response. 10 feet more. Mom, what's for supper? No response. All the way up to her. Mom, what's for supper? I've told you 5 times we're having chicken. Have you ever thought about the age of success in life? Like, for instance, age 4, success is not peeing your pants. Age 12, success is having friends. Age 16, success is having a driver's license. Age 35, success is having money. Age 50, success is having money. Age 75, success is having friends. Age 80, success is not peeing your pants. Yeah, that's right. You know, like I said, last week I turned 71. When I was little, I couldn't wait to get older. I mean, we thought in fractions back then. How you kids think in fractions? Somebody asks you how old you are, you say 5.5, 4.5. They don't ask me, are you 70? Oh, I would have to use both hands. Excuse me. 10, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, and a half. But, you know, You finally make it to that age you've been dreaming of, 21. I could not wait to be age 21. Independent, on my own, 21. But then after that, time just starts flying. You become 21. You turn 30. You reach 40. You're pushing 50. By that time, you've hit up so much speed that you hit 60. After that, it's just a day-to-day thing. You hit Monday, you hit Tuesday, you hit Wednesday, you hit Thursday. By the time you're 80, you'd be lucky to hit lunch. There is only one good thing about me becoming 71 now, though. I can run for president. Yes, sir. It seems like you have to be in your 70s to be president. So I can become president now. I know, I tried it last election. I only missed it by 60 million votes. I should have demanded a recount. But that was when I was 70. See, now I'm in my 70s. So I should be able to do it, right? That's right. So, I want to be president. I've written a song for my campaign trail. Goes a little something like this. Suppose that all the votes were cast and I came out ahead. Republicans and Democrats elected me instead. I'd speed things up. I'd get things done. I'm hyper as can be. And I'd only need a 2-year term 'cause I've got ADD. So let me be your president. Somebody swear me in and put my face on Mount Rushmore along with my silly grin. If we need more taxes, I'll make the Congress pay. So lift your voice, I'm your only choice. God help the USA. I'll never lie as president. Of course, not speaking will be tough. And as for leaks, I promise to only leak the juicy stuff. We'll never go to war because I couldn't stand the stress. And Valia Casey is my choice to head the IRS. So let me be your president. Somebody swear me in. We'll make July a holiday. Let Christmas run through May. So I'm the only one. Yes, that's true, folks. I'm the only one. But God help the USA.
decided that I needed a new theme song. And I thought this one was good for that. I'm only human, I'm but a man. Help me believe in all that I am and all that I can. Show me the stairway I have to climb. Lord, for my sake, teach me to take one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Jesus. Tomorrow may never be mine. Help me to strength to do every day what I have to do. Yesterday's gone, sweet Jesus. Tomorrow may never be mine. Lord, help me today. Show me the way, one day at a time. Lord, you remember when you walked among men. Well, Jesus, you know if you're looking below, it's worse now than then. Pushing and shoving, crowding my mind. Lord, for my sake, teach me to take one day at a time. One day at a time, sweet Jesus. Tomorrow may never be mine. Help me today. Do all that I can. Yesterday's gone, sweet Jesus. Tomorrow may never be mine. Lord, help me today. Show me the way, one day at a time. Lord, help me today. Show me the way, one day at a time.
Honey, I don't mean to keep bringing this up, but could you stop making these? I don't like them very much.
Well, I hate to break it to you, but I have another one in the oven.
I don't mean to sound insensitive, but have you noticed how much weight you gain when you have these? Let's face it, they never smell good.
Look, let's not argue about it. Why don't we give it to the new neighbors? We can tell them it's a housewarming gift.
Are you kidding? If we give this to the neighbors, they're going to think we're nuts or something.
They'll love it. Should we just give it to them in person or leave it on their doorstep?
Leave it on their doorstep. If they figure out we gave it to them, they might try to give it back. Oh, it's dripping all over me. Here.
Honey, you could have stained the carpet. I don't understand the aversion you have to these.
I just don't have any need for them, except maybe as a paperweight, but then it gets nastiness all over. Just say fine.
I'm going to my mother's.
Fine, take this with you. She'll probably love it. She hasn't had one in years.
I'm leaving that with you until you can learn to appreciate it.
This is why I wanted a dog.
So, as many of you might have noticed, this wasn't actually that funny. But sometimes you can change a skit just by changing the props. We're going to prove that by exchanging this questionable pastry with a baby.
Honey, I don't mean to keep bringing this up, but could you stop making these? They don't smell very good. Oh, sorry, I don't like them very much.
I hate to break it to you, but I've got another one in the oven.
I don't mean to sound insensitive, but have you noticed how much weight you gain when you have these? Let's face it, they don't smell very good.
You know, I don't want to argue about it anymore. Let's just give it to the new neighbors. We can tell them it's a housewarming gift.
Are you kidding? If we give this to the neighbors, they're going to think we're nuts or something.
No, they'll love it. Should we give it to them in person or just leave it on their doorstep?
Oh, leave it on their doorstep. If they find out we gave it to them, they'll try to give it back. Oh, it's dripping all over me. Here.
Honey, you could have stained the carpet. I don't understand the aversion you have to these.
I just don't have any need for them, except maybe as a paperweight. But then it gets nastiness all over.
I'm going to my mother's.
Fine, take this with you. She'll probably love it. She hasn't had one in years.
I'm leaving that with you until you learn to appreciate it.
This is why I wanted a dog.